This morning, I'm only going to take a few minutes to introduce some new research. You've declared in climate emergency, what next? And in some ways, the inspiration for this research came from our member authorities. And councils really need some practical help from APSE and from other organisations to network and to share and to agree on what is the best way forward for councils to not just declare an emergency, but take a practical approach to it. So this research was looking at the realistic approaches to support frontline services as we move into making climate emergency declarations into positive action. But in the report, there's a number of links to other authorities with really good and transparent action plans in place.
We need to see academics and researchers such as myself getting alongside and helping you in local council and indeed central government and elsewhere. One of the bases of the new decade, new approach was essentially a Green New Deal for Northern Ireland, which is important because we now have buy-in from our main political parties about the importance of moving to a green and climate resilient economy of essentially, I'll put it in a phrase, put your money where your house is. You know, one thing the pandemic has taught us, particularly in terms of food, is that we need to relocalize our supply chains and, increase the local multiplier effect of keeping as much of the wealth and income in a community, keep it circulating within that community as opposed to it leaking out.
We've worked with Climate NI and Sustainable Northern Ireland to set out commitments within the addendum to the Climate Change Adaptation Programme, and all 11 councils have been working with Climate NI in the early stages of that Climate Action Programme. All of this has been, for most councils, without additional resources, with committed officers carving out time from already busy work diaries to drive forward on climate change. Councils have a critical role in the economic and social recovery that Northern Ireland needs, and there's massive support at present for this being a green recovery.
What John's been talking about is to do with the carbon cutting side of things. And we are focused more in terms of the fact that even if we stop all emissions today, we've already built some climate change into the system, and therefore we need to adapt our communities and our organisations to deal with some of that. Folks are realising that decisions that we make now really are the ones that are going to affect whether we meet net zero or not. This is the decade when we really do something. So the main trends that we're looking at are warmer, wetter winters and hotter, drier summers. And we are locked into a certain amount of sea level rise, which at the moment, the emissions trajectory we're on globally looks like it's going to be about 94 centimetres for Belfast, for Northern Ireland. So we're talking substantial changes here. But the World Economic Forum this year in 2020 noted that in terms of the likelihood, the greatest likelihood of impacts coming, climate change and extreme weather, and also not responding to climate change and extreme weather in terms of organisations are the two greatest risks. And so this needs to be embedded in all services and in our policies and our risk registers.
So I think there's a real opportunity that as we lift from the lockdown, we can actually enhance that public goodwill when it comes to not just the big issues of climate change, but local and environmental quality as well. So I'll stop there, Chair, and I'll hand back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mo and Phil, and I'd like to thank everybody this morning for it. Definitely was very much an interesting meeting and very thought provoking. If you have any queries or questions, don't hesitate to get in touch with Mo or any of the APSE team, and they'll only be too glad to help. So that's all from me. But again, thanks everybody, and stay safe.